Trust what people demonstrate, right? So if they demonstrate that they have an appetite for more, then they probably do. And if they say they do, but they don't demonstrate it, then, we just need to learn more.
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way.
Welcome back to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. And I am here today with the beautiful and the organized and the amazing Tori Grimm, who just happens to be my COO, my right-hand woman, and has been a true blessing for so many reasons in our organization. Before I even let you speak, Tori, I'm just going to say that when we first hired her, she came in, and I'll never forget this. I've said this many times, and she knows what I'm going to say next, is that she showed up to one of the first team meetings, and we had put something in her field, and she came so prepared to the team meeting that she had a PowerPoint exemplifying to the rest of the team how to execute on this thing. And I thought, ooh, everybody just got up leveled because she came so prepared. And so no surprise that she has really grown through the organization over the last several years and is really charging the way forward at this point. So thanks for joining me today. She loves the idea of being on a podcast.
I'm going to try my best.
Yeah, like she always does. All right, so Tori, give them a little bit of your history, if you don't mind, just like where you came into the organization and then ascended through some roles here.
Yeah, definitely. So I came in, I applied for a checkup position with Dr. Lona, and I had a background in health, wellness, and fitness promotion. I graduated with an undergraduate degree. So I was very looking for something that I believed in, and chiropractic just really fit where I wanted to go. And so I came in for the checkup role and I loved it. I started with checking patients in, and then slowly learned how to scan patients.
So did part of our exam process, TECA.
Yes, did that. Really enjoyed helping the flow of the office and helping with the doctors, helping with their notes. And then there was a transition period where I shifted into more of COCA for a time being, which is like the checkout process, more financials, helping keep compliance with patients' care plans, and then moved back to Chica, helped bring in a COCA during that time, and then
that's right.
Yeah, and lots has happened.
Yes. And now she has been OM for a while and then now fully COO behind the scenes, still helping the front office, still supporting the front office, still helping train the front office, but really managing and holding accountable the entire team at this point. Yeah. And so that ascension, I think, has been a growing experience over the last 12 months, especially.
Yes.
And I think, I think about our Tuesday mornings together, like where no one else is here. And a lot of times it's been a really good just dialogue of like, how do we make that ascension and like role playing and working through, because it is an identity shift. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. Definitely.
So that's one thing I do want to point out is most of us that start as owner operator, we start in our practice, we're doing all the things, we're taking the garbage out, we're doing the new patient, we're like figuring out how to run the payment. Then you hire your first EA and, maybe you do that right when you open wherever, but you're learning how to train someone else in, and you get to a place where hopefully there's multiple people working. Maybe you're starting to bring on another DC and you learn how to make that ascension into starting to think about like, what if I'm not the only person adjusting? And what about how do I actually move into the seat of becoming more of a CEO in my mind, which I was just on a call with a lot of CEO women. And we were talking about how vulnerable that is sometimes where you're like, I don't really feel like that. Like, am I the leader? Am I actually supposed to be the leader? And it's like, yeah, you are. You're the owner. You've got to be the leader at some point. So I think all of us go through different parts of that when we're ascending. And I'm sure Tori can speak to that, of like feeling like, wait, is it okay for me to like take the reins here? And for those of us that are CEOs looking for our Tories, our COOs, like we're like, oh, please, can you help us lead? Can you help us hold this container? So maybe you can just think about like how that's felt in your mind at times.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely been a process. It's identity, like, is this me? How am I going to be perceived by others? Am I even saying what needs to be said? You know, a communication has always been something that I've been trying to be building continually. So that has been what I've been working on. But what I thought of when you were chatting about that is just as I was going through the Chica Coca process, I remember you ingraining in me like I can make my own decisions within the practice, within my role. Like I have that autonomy to do that. And I think that I didn't really realize, I realized it some, but right now it's really become an idea that I want to share with others. Like that is what I think is what will probably what makes businesses successful is just that trust, but also them knowing like you are like the conductor of your own ship, and I'm here to make sure, like I'm here to support you behind the scenes. Like one of the TRP coaches once said, I can't remember which one, but like office manager is sort of like a stay-at-home mom. You're not quite sure what they're doing all the time, but you're always there making sure that people are getting where they need to go and getting what they need and the resources they need. And that's what I really try to do, is make sure all of the loose ends are tied up, get people everything that they need, and just be here as for whatever they need.
Yes. So helpful. Yeah, I love that. And that's a great thing right there to think about. You know, I do think we are intentional in our organization and we have multiple practices. And so, you know, this idea that anyone on the team can become the constriction point if we don't entrust them to have some autonomy in their role. And that's where having great leadership that can have like checks and balances there to make sure that there is accountability, that there is visibility into the process is really important for all of us. But then at the same time that we're not micromanaging and becoming bottlenecks. And sometimes it's just slowing down to even think about that process a little bit of like, wait a second, this worked at this last level, but will it continue to work as we move forward? Or am I now a bottleneck that I didn't perceive I was before, because everything, you know, as it relates to a certain process might have to pass through me, right? And that can be true in any position. Like one of the better investments we've made in the last year to 18 months was getting virtual CAs. And so we have a virtual CA and I have a virtual assistant as well to just help support, open up more flow. Tori, you know, is definitely holding structure for them as well, as far as like they are part of our team, even though they're never physically in office with us. And so like this idea of like, I love the stay-at-home mom analogy. That is a great one of just like that you are cultivating, nourishing, supporting, challenging, putting in time out if need be. I'm just kidding. But you know, that like she's overseeing, she's really watchful, just like a mother is watchful in a way that is then stewarding people. And this is where Tori, you know, as I joked in the beginning, where she came with this like PowerPoint ready to rock and teach us all, you know, she has this natural skill set of leading by example and then really holding accountability and holding structure. And that was such a compliment that I think many of our CEOs are looking for, is we may be very much heart-led, big visionaries. And yet at the same time, one of the things we struggle the most with is the rhythmic need for assistance to hold the grid so that we can actually climb bigger than what we can just, you know, spin on our own. And so when Tori brought the skill set in and she could help us get these systems in place and these rhythms in place to then help the team of A players have rhythms and accountability in place, that's where this like special sauce has come together for sure. So Tori, you know, when we were talking about your leadership style, which is really definitely leading alongside people and leading by example, you know, when you look to help other people step into accountability in their role, how have the scorecards and using KPIs helped you?
Yeah, it's helped a lot. I really, really like the monthly meetings. The way that we do them is we do a monthly, it's a really short chat, just what's going on, what do you need from me, what are you seeing, what am I seeing, and just that dialogue. And then something that we changed doing, which I think is even more valuable, is I send a summary of what we chatted about one-on-one, me and the team member, and then I loop Lona in so that we all are on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
They maybe have questions for Lona that they didn't ask me or they thought of after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
That way all of our bases are covered and everybody's in the loop. And
Yes.
communication, there's nothing behind closed doors, everybody's in the know.
Yeah, that's great. It is great for the CEO to be looped into that too, and be able to just, even if the meeting went perfectly where you felt like everything was on earth, it's just great to like then be able to kind of read through a quick synopsis of it. And one of the questions I get sometimes with some of my calls with the CEOs who are getting some of these rhythms in place is like, how am I going to have time to have all these meetups, everything from, the daily, weekly, the huddles and the team meetings and the team trainings. But then of course, if we're supposed to meet with every person on the team once a month and have quarterly board meetings, it can feel like a lot, especially if you're so heavily involved in patient care most days. And that's where it's like, it's actually better if it's a shared scenario, because I think Tori and I have different communication styles. Tori has the gift of being extremely inviting and warm. And so I definitely know that she's going to hear and know things that are going to come out differently to her than they would ever potentially come to me. And her ability to speak into that is going to be differently. So again, I think it makes your leadership collaboration stronger so that team members are heard. And sometimes issues will be brought out in different ways, and that helps you then also get more creative about how do we help navigate some of the growth hurdles that we're going to come up against, or even problems that arise on a team that are just natural growing pains. Yeah, that's awesome. Tori, when you reflect on where you've come, especially since you've really ascended through these different roles, and if other CEOs are listening or other docs are listening and they're like thinking about like, well, I guess I don't maybe even have an OM yet, what would you say about having them really look at the talent on their team first and figuring out how would you help another practice start to nurture a particular CA that you see has leadership skills? Like, what were some of those things that were meaningful for you, as well as like, how could someone else do it?
Yeah, I think looking at somebody who will, where you see that they're constantly following up or trying their best, just trying their best is
a huge part.
Is a huge part. And whether, I think just this is a good question.
Yeah, I know.
Like, are you thinking like characteristics in a person?
Yeah, as well as like nurturing into that leadership, right? Because if we think back to where you began, if I was probably like, you're going to be managing everyone, right? You went like, wait a second, wait, this is not what I signed up for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think the way I ascended was very helpful. It was in stages, which I know it might not be applicable to every practice to do it that way, starting from Chica to Koga to know everything that's going on. I mean, everybody will know some of everything that's going on, but to intimately know all those parts was very helpful. So maybe a unique case, but also I would help Dr. Lona as an executive assistant for the time being. So that also gave us one-on-one time for her to like steward this conversation. So I think if a person continually shows that they want more and are happy to receive more and they're executing well on what's already been given, I think that is a good indicator that they could be a good candidate to help lead the team and that they have good interactions and good relationships with everybody on the team. I think it's also good.
Yes, I mean, from my perspective, like Tori, again, led by example, as well as would show up always with like that edge of like doing a little bit more or not being afraid. If something needed to get buttoned up, she would stay and get it buttoned up. It was just like really clear that she put the effort in and was bought in, and so that was a huge piece. And I think, this is where all of us need to kind of do a gut check first, like you as the owner, like aren't generally going to attract talent that you can't also nurture in that way, right? So if you're like, I don't really want to like pour in, then it's going to be tough to attract an A player that's going to lead alongside you. And then the other part of that would be like, trust what people demonstrate, right? So if they demonstrate that they have an appetite for more, then they probably do. And if they say they do, but they don't demonstrate it, then, we just need to learn more, right? Like maybe it's, again, that what they see that they want to do is something that's outside of what we need on the team right now, potentially too. So I think, that can be confusing sometimes too, of like, well, I have this person that thinks that they may want to, but then when you look at like, well, to Tori's point, like, are they actually accomplishing what they need to do in their role currently is a critical piece of then knowing if right now there's questions about whether or not they're, an A player in their current role, then I would question whether or not moving them into more leadership would be actually the right move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And last question here. So I know you've had quite a transformation in chiropractic. How much has that also played a role in you feeling like I found a home, like I really enjoy this work because I find it meaningful?
Oh, it's played a huge role. I was actually introduced to Dr. Lona's office from my first chiropractor, Ashley Anderson, which was Dr. Lona's business partner. And she was looking for a CA, but it was part-time. She pointed me over to Dr. Lona.
So glad that I did that. Yeah.
But just like I was, I think 23 maybe, or early 20s, and like I was having back pain, I was having bladder inflammation, just all of these different things that a 20-something-year-old shouldn't really have. And through chiropractic, I released a lot of things. It wasn't always pretty, I released a kidney stone on the way, but I'm a lot lighter now.
Yeah.
So it definitely, you can, if you've spent any time getting chiropractic care yourself, like it shows for you how valuable it is. So yeah, I definitely found a home.
Yes. And the philosophy piece, like if anyone's listening, like, should I bring my team to these philosophy seminars or should I bring them to TRPs, immersions? Like, what would you say about those pieces?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's amazing. You don't hear enough outside of chiropractic, you don't hear it at all, but you cannot hear it enough how like empowering it is of how smart your body actually is. And it's incredible to be in a place every day surrounded by others who believe that as well. So it just continually lifts you up and gives you momentum to keep going forward with helping more people.
Right. So good. Yeah. I think earlier on one of the podcasts, someone said like that a CA needs to be an octopus on roller skates.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. And I'm like, that is accurate. Right. And so that's also why to like help make sure that everybody on the team is getting the big idea, because it is a tough job in the sense that there's a lot that happens in a busy practice in a pretty rapid amount of time. And certainly if we're not really like in that vision of seeing how it's transformed us, as well as like how important this work is, it can feel like the chaos may not be worth the squeeze, I think, some of the time. But if you're connected to it, then it's like, oh, this is all good. We're having a party and we're serving life and let's keep going. Let's keep growing. So Tori, you are an immense blessing to chiropractic. So thank you for being my right-hand woman.
Thank you for sharing it with me.
Of course. Of course. All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode, and you can look for Tori at one of the immersions coming up too. She'll be there. So stop in and say hi.
Hey everyone, please listen in for this next bonus interview of one of our remarkable success partners. They all help us help more people find the benefits of chiropractic. So listen on. All right, guys, we are together today with someone I've known a long time in chiropractic. Always love running into him at seminars, and he happens to be the owner of the EHR system that I have used for now 15 or 16 years. So I'm grateful for all that he brings into the chiropractic ecosystem. So welcome, Dr. Brian Capra. Talk to us about who you are and your business here, ClinicMind, formerly known as Genesis. I'm giving you the stage here. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Great to see you as well. Thanks for having me. Yeah. And we do go a long way back. Man, it's been, and it went like a blink, right?
Totally.
But a lot has happened in that time. So Genesis and ClinicMind, I know I get a lot of questions about that. Genesis and ClinicMind were really sister companies for the whole time, 20 years. One was more of the development company, one was more of the operation, sales, marketing. We just simply merged the two companies together. So it wasn't like some company gobbled us up or something like that. We did it so that we could actually gobble up others eventually. And we have made some acquisitions and things like that. So it's actually a really exciting time for us, for Genesis / by Clinic. It's now Genesis by ClinicMind.
Yeah.
So that we can keep the two names. You can tell our logo changed a little bit. And that's how we got here. About me, as you know, I've been a chiropractor since 2002, graduated from Life in Marietta. And I snuck out of there right before the accreditation issues and got right into practice, worked in some really high volume practices. And within a couple of years, met some really interesting people that were building technology for what was a big problem at the time for me. And that was the RCM space, revenue cycle management. As many people know it, billing, insurance billing. Yes. And so it was, they had built this platform, ironically, as a project for a major billing company in California. And the project got scrapped right before it was completed. New CEO, new change in ownership, and for whatever reason. So but it was revolutionary. It was in the cloud. It leveraged artificial intelligence to optimize collections for providers. And they had nobody to test it on, and I was the guinea pig. So that's how that's how it started. I became the guinea pig, and I turned around and I said, guys, my collections went up by like 40%. And I didn't change what I was billing or anything like that, but it was technology, it was the cloud, it was AI and automated workflows and things like that made the difference. So yeah, I said, we need to partner, because I had the billing company of my coach. So it was like the best out there, and it was hard relatively. So I said, we need a partner. I know a lot of people that need this, and that's not all they need, right? First of all, it's in the cloud. Imagine 20 years ago. And artificial intelligence, not the one we think of today, but the root of AI being used in technology was 20 years ago. So that we've been using cloud and AI for 20 something years plus. And so
which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, thank you. And so that's where we started. But I said, but there's much more to this, because what I realized is what that was doing for collections was a counterintuitive, different way to leverage technology to get better results. But it was this, you can use the same methodology for patient relationships and patient management and practice management. So we were integrating at the time with my current EHR at the time. And I said, if we just build these things, I can get rid of this really large bill every month and get most of what I need out of the front end of the system, and it's integrated, right? And I don't have to worry about asking doctors for notes when we're following up on claims, because we can go get them, right? Things like that. And of course, then compliance started to be a thing, and coding really became more prevalent. And that was just the kind of Genesis 1.0. And now we're in a whole new world right now, which is really exciting.
Well, I guess that's where my next question comes for you. So I love that you're a chiropractor and you evolved into this because of needing and seeing the need for it. So now with all that's available to us in tech, when you look at like what problems you're solving now for clinic owners and CEOs that are either unhappy with their current EHR, or maybe even still doing paper notes or something like that, or mad at their billing company, like possible. Talk to me about why they would look at ClinicMind Genesis and how you're solving problems for them in the current tech-driven world.
Well, I would say Genesis was compared fairly, I guess, to most EHRs in the past, although we've had the cloud and all that and the integrated billing. It still was kind of hard for customers to kind of, what are you? Are you a billing company or software? You knew right away what markers you were using both. But that was Genesis, like I said, kind of 1.0. 2.0 is, so most doctors were getting your EHR. Then they were getting something for reminders, something for payment processing, something for, next thing you know, your tech stack is like, this high, 30 different things. You're running your practice, your front desk is trying to keep those things held together with glue. God forbid something happens to that person that knows everything about all the systems that are kind of holding your practice together, you're in a difficult spot, right? There's no one person that can come in and say they know all that stuff, and you can't just hand them to somebody that can help them with everything. So the 2.0, there's AI, of course, which we can get into, but it's more of a single platform for providers that provides all the services. So we've gone into the 3 phases of the patient life cycle, where it's pre-care, it's point of care, and it's post-care. And there's technologies that apply in any one of those things. So there's marketing, there's attraction, there's all those things, right? There's marketing automations, there's reminders about the appointments to come, there's all of that great stuff. There's your social posting, your advertising, your content writing, your all that stuff. Well, there's technology for that now, especially with AI. There's scheduling bots, voice bots and chat bots and FAQ bots and all kinds of, probably 15 different bots. That's before a patient even knows about you. But that needs to be integrated with your EHR. Not like a plug-in API kind of thing. You do need to API it mostly, but it's different when we own it, right? So we've built that patient hub that can do anything you can think of that any of those other reminder or reviews type systems do. So we built that, and it's integrated now with all kinds of awesome AI tools. And probably maybe one of the most important things, the support is unified, right? It's one company, obviously, that provides support for both parts of the patient life cycle on that technology.
Okay.
So you're using Genesis, and you get Patient Hub, and you're using this engine to attract patients, convert them into new patients, bring them through the door, retain them, generate reviews, reactivate them, all the same engine. God forbid your key person leaves, you could take your next man or woman up and say, okay, it's one support. You have to learn these parts, but you don't have to go to 15 different companies. You go to one company, one support, one chat model, all that. So it's just that technology as an EHR company. And that's pre-care, that's during care. Post-care, there's a whole bunch of that marketing stuff. There's RCM, which is post-care. There's payment processing built in now. So it's just becoming a bigger engine.
That makes sense. I feel like what's interesting to me, using, like you said, the tech stack, and almost everything I ever have wanted to use, you guys speak to, and it goes back and forth very seamlessly for us. But I have, in coaching other doctors, realized that not all systems are built that way, and the headache, and as well as just the problem it can create in a practice, because obviously then they're forced to make some different decisions instead of having a choice there. It's like it's not there. So I guess in thinking about that, one of the things I realized is, like, we're in a different ecosystem. If the old model was like multiple CAs for every doctor to make everything flow, right? Now that tech is doing so much for us, like, what do you think the future of chiropractic looks like with more and more AI to help the patient experience?
I think if you ever remember, like Paul, was it Paul Pilzer, or do you remember him at UIC? But there's been throughout history always another new technology that everybody was afraid was gonna basically put people out of work, and all it ever did was explode the economy and give people new jobs. And so what's going to really happen is they're going to not be distracted with mundane tasks, or tasks that they actually are not able to manage, right? So if you think about, or things that they're just not even, you want them to do, but you don't even know that they're not really able to do them to the level you want them to do. If you just want some person to manage your SEO, for example, and just write content, 1 or 2 blog posts a week, and post those things, optimized, of course, and they did it, that would totally change your SEO and bring tons of new patients and all that. If you wanted somebody to make sure no new patient phone call or inquiry on any channel was missed, just do that one thing. They couldn't even do it, because you can't answer the phone with 2 people. You can't answer the phone while you're sleeping. You can't answer the phone while the office is closed. There's a whole bunch. It's between 22 and 33% of all new patient inquiries are missed completely. Go to a voicemail or some inbox somewhere, where if they're not responded to within 5 minutes, they're gone. They're on to the next chiro. They can Google the next one. So I think what it's going to really do is just remove the noise from doctors and staff and focus them on what we're really here to do, the patient that's right in front of you, right? So they're gonna miss less visits because they're getting reminded. They're gonna generate more reviews. The system's gonna respond to those reviews for you, so they don't have to do that thing anymore. That's generating better SEO. That's attracting more, right? So you're getting all this compounding effect with technology, and it really compounds. I'm actually putting together a whole ebook series on this because the money is crazy when you do the simple math, even if you just eliminate missed new patient inquiries.
Yeah.
Another simple time saver. You get messages from Google, from Instagram, from Facebook, from your email, from your whatever. That inbox is now unified in Patient Hub so that you can, if you click on that patient in Patient Hub, you can see the text, the email, the conversation back and forth, not having to go in 15 different places to piece this thing together. It pieces it together for you. So just the simple things like that, the time savings and the mental capacity and the memory management that's just eliminated completely. I think it already is revolutionizing how things are done. It is already a massive ROI. Yeah. I think it's going to take a minute for docs to really, I think most doctors that are in the place, you tell me what the vibe is in TRP. Like, I think most docs realize that you got to get with it, right?
Oh yeah, I would say so for sure. And now it's more just like, how do we learn this and start to like reimagine how this can be used for us in different ways, which is part of why I asked that question. Cause I agree with you that I think, it's still a connection business and there's so many things that we were asking our people to do that could be done for us now through tech that it really frees up either the capacity or just even more touch points with people that will feel great then instead of feeling hurried or like you're dropping the ball somewhere else. So
I felt like when you and I spoke for a few minutes before we started with the Maha movement and all this, chiropractic with 60, 100,000 chiropractors on the planet, if you thought about it, if you do the math on billions and billions of people, we don't have nearly the capacity. So it's got to change. We got to have, I believe we got to have, number one, more capacity by a lot. We got to have more chiropractors, obviously. To get more chiropractors, we got to be more successful, because who wants to jump into a profession where you're going to be not wealthy, not have a real success path, right? So we got to do that, and we got to prove the efficacy. Part of what we're doing is using the platform and the cloud and cloud storage and data lakes and for research purposes. So we are sharing data that can be de-identified data, where in a huge data lake, right? So any researcher can go to the data lake, and AI can go in the data lake, and you can plug in your requirements and you can spit out research and data like nonstop, which chiropractic can't do relative to medicine because we're not funded by pharma and all this stuff. But this levels the playing field. Yeah. So I think with the Maha movement and technology, that it's all coming together in a really nice way for us.
I love that. Yeah, that's exciting to think about. All right, so if people want a demo or they want to connect with your crew and your team and see how this could work for them, because maybe they're like listening to this and thinking, I need to get on my A game with my technology. What do they do next?
Go to clinicmind.com. You can view all the different products, Genesis. We have a credentialing service. We have a whole bunch of telehealth now and all that great stuff. You can see Patient Hub, of course. And just, there's always, anywhere you go, there's a place to schedule. If you ever want to talk to me, email me, drbrian@clinicmind.com.
Perfect. Thanks, Dr. Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.